If you want it, I give it to you for $50.
No.
Well, actually, I need some gas money, and I don't want to see you make a decision you're going to regret. So
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. The whole two of you. All right, this is Friday night, and I thought I'll spend some time with you guys. However, it looks like you guys are not interested. So, the hell with you all. I'll stop it now. Go and watch my movie. Oh, well, now it's a different story. There are three of you here, so who knows? Maybe I might have to. I don't know how to handle this crowd, but Slobodan is here. Says, hello, Miran 24 Belgrade. Says, how are you, dear friend? Hello, Slobodan. How are you, dear? And so we're looking for questions. We're going to be talking about thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, ego. We talk about breakups and how you can get back to your balance and enjoy your life and move on with your life rather than being stuck with some kind of a relationship that didn't work out. Life is short, and you got to quickly be able to see the priorities and your values and get back to your routine of your life and create a new routine and be the architect of your happiness. If you think somebody else can make you happy, well, you're dreaming. Nobody has done anything in this world for you, although you thought others have done a lot for you to be happy. However, your happiness is because you decided to be happy. Now, what's the smell in here? There's a smell of something is burning. So, what don't you, why don't you guys let me close that? Let me close that window. Make sure this is not nothing burning here. I don't know. I don't think it's here. Nope, something was apparently coming from outside. So now, where was I? So, and we also will talk about OCD and OCD subsets and intrusive thoughts and HOCD for that matter. And so we're going to be taking some questions. I'll be with you for about, I don't know, half an hour or depending on what interest we get tonight. And so hurry up, put your questions in. And remember, each question has to have a super chat of $100. Now remember that. Now, I'm not joking now. You might be smiling, but every one of you goddamn cheapos have been here for about years and paid nothing. And the channel needs to be supported. I supported it for 13 years, and you cheap bastards don't do a damn thing. So here it is. It was suggested by Jesse from Germany that every question must carry a super chat. Otherwise, no answer. So it was a unanimous vote, and I have no choice but to comply because this is your channel. And if I don't listen, then you guys gonna fire me. So, uh, where are the questions? There are four people here, and there's none of you have the guts to actually ask a question. And Slobodan, you're not gonna ask a question because I'm not gonna answer yours. You refer back to all the recordings that I've sent you. All right. So if you guys don't have any questions, and there's seven people here. Now I don't know how to handle that. There's seven people I can see, but there's no questions down below. So I've got some kind of a pain in my jaw. I don't know what happened. So before my jaw goes out of business, you guys might ask me questions. Otherwise, I won't be able to answer them. So come on, hurry up. There he is. Kosar Star is here. He says, hello, master. Says 25 male Kurdistan. And he says, I have question. I feel like I'm lost. Get a map. Find out where you are. You'll find yourself. What are you talking about, you lost? He says, I have an obsession about my goals. What's your advice for me? And I suffer from HOCD heterosexual. HOCD heterosexual. What do you mean? You mean HOCD is the type of OCD, but what's the heterosexual doing at the end of it? Like, it confuses the hell out of me. You're saying you're heterosexual and you have sexual orientation OCD, or you're saying you're homosexual and you're having sexual orientation OCD? I think you mean you have HOCD, which I remember last time you were here, I think you said, or we talked about it, that you have you're a heterosexual and you have substantive OCD, HOCD. Yes, right. You're a heterosexual male. Okay, thank you for that. And you say, we have an obsession about my goals. What kind of obsession? Like, would you elaborate a little bit more? What do you mean you have an obsession about your goals? Everybody has an obsession about their goals. Like, they're supposed to do their best to make their goals come true. I've got a pain in my jaw. What the hell? Maybe I should hit it a little bit. So, in regards to HOCD, you know, I've got hundreds and hundreds of videos on my channel. So just go and type in HOCD in search engine on my channel, and you'll see an array of videos coming through. And then you just choose from the title what is going to discuss your concern. And because, look, it's a glitch of the brain, so you don't need to question or bother yourself or anything like that. Just like any other part, like your knee hurts, you know, it's your knee. You don't say, oh, I've always, you know, must have been a knee hurt her, but I didn't know. No, it just hurt now. Or your stomach. Oh, I've got a diarrhea, but you know, I must have always wished to be a diarrhea person. Well, no, it's just, you see, there's something wrong with that intestine, that organ, or liver, or kidney. So you go and find the remedy, how to help it, how to bring it back to health, and bring it to default setting, how it's supposed to be, how it was designed. And for you as a heterosexual male, well, you're designed that way, and the rest of it are the thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and so on. And somebody who's homosexual, well, they're designed that way, and they would have thoughts of heterosexual, which is not normal to them, and that would be the glitch of their brain. It's it's intrusive thoughts to them. So it's not limited to heterosexuals. HOCD, intrusive thoughts, sexual orientation OCD, it can be a glitch in anyone's brain, and it will invite you or suggest to you that you are not what you are. You're opposite of the gender that you've always been and known yourself to be. And that is just simply the glitch of the brain, like the glitch of any other organ that goes to, wacko stage, and then you help it to come to its default setting. The same thing, you got to understand what OCD and substantive OCD, HOCD in this case, is, and follow the advice of the neuroscientist and the psychologist specialized in OCD. Not every psychologist knows about OCD enough to help you. It's like, doctors, everybody has certain kind of a speciality. And general doctors are not able to help you with specific things, such as a general practitioner can diagnose something but cannot really help to fix your heart that needs surgery, or your diabetics issues that needs a diabetic specialist. So psychologists are each trained in something, like engineers. They're trained in this field or that field, electric engineer, mechanical engineer, and so on. Not every engineer knows everything that there is to know about engineering. Same thing, psychologists don't know everything about every psychological disorder. They have to be specialists in that. So specialists such as Dr. Schwartz, Dr. Philipson, Dr. Jan Rayner, these are experts in the field of sexual orientation OCD, HOCD, and the recommendations, you follow it. I've got hundreds of videos on my channels that you can search and enjoy. And then you use, for example, the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz for OCD and OCD subsets. And it can help the brain to rewire itself through neuroplasticity and get the results that you're looking for. Now, in regards to your obsession about goals, well, I still haven't heard anything from you. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about in regards to obsession. So you can help that out. While you guys think that way, I'll go get a piece of chocolate. How about that? Oh, there was so much smell of burning something there. So we still don't have the follow-up explanations from Kasar or Kosar. So I guess until we have that, I don't have a topic to speak. Remember, these live streams are not lectures. They're designed to answer your question. Yeah? So unless you ask a question, I've got nothing to say. So I give you some time to think it through. I'm going to let you watch something.
I love you.
I love you. I am crazy about you.
Yeah, me too.
It's so lovely to be together.
Yeah, it sure is nothing better.
You are the best.
You are the best.
Ugh, I can't understand it. How could you have a different mind than I have? How could you not see it the way I see it? I want you to give me more importance. You don't pay attention and entertain me. My life is not as I expected you to make it to be. I can't be with you. You don't make me happy. I don't want you anymore. So what? The guy was just giving me a compliment, and I was not letting him chat me up. It was so innocent.
Hey, why? What did I do? I love you. Everything was fine just yesterday. What gives? What if I chat up other girls just as innocently? You gotta have my head.
We are just so different. Best go on our separate ways. What happened? Why did he leave me? Why was he not understanding me? I feel awful. I will never love again. He didn't try to make me happy. I had to break it off, but I feel so terrible. How can I understand what happened? How can I move on? I miss him. Why am I so conflicted now?
Hey, don't worry, dear. It wasn't meant to be. You will be fine. Just go buy yourself a nice dress and new shoes. You will be fine again. I promise.
Who is that guy? What is he telling them? They all seem to like what they are hearing, as if he has opened their minds about why they feel how they feel.
Oh, he discusses things not so important, like how our mind works and how our thoughts, consciousness, fears, desires, and ego play in relationships and after the breakups. But all you need is to go buy yourself a nice dress and you'll be fine. Oh, he was not understanding you. All you need is a shopping spree in the mall and then take a vacation. It will all be fine.
I got to find out how my mind, thought, and the rest of it works, and why I feel the way I do. I don't want to go shopping. see what he means. Ah, I understand. I feel better already. I am ready to feel good again. I am ready to move on, to fix my life and build better relationships, better future. I am feeling pretty confident. I got to talk to him one-on-one.
Damn, I thought she is the one. Everything was all good. She suddenly turned as if I was no longer who I was anymore. Why did she do that? Why do I feel so devastated? How can I feel better? How can I understand what is going on in my head? How can I go on? I will never fall in love again. There are no good girls anymore. They're all after something. I don't even know what the heck they want.
Have some beer. You will feel all better and forget the whole thing. Here, buy some of my brew and forget about your pain. Everything will be okay. You'll find another girl. Go on a trip. Take a vacation.
I gotta find out how my mind, thought, and the rest of it works, and why I feel the way I do. I don't want a brew. Ah, things finally make sense. I now understand why she did what she did, and why I feel so shitty about it all, and why I miss her so much. I now know how to not miss her, and how to move on and build a better me, more confident and more aware of the role of my thoughts, consciousness, desires, fears, and ego in my relationship, and how I feel after a breakup. I got to talk to him or watch his videos on YouTube.
It may all seem like a mystery to you right now, but you can always go to my YouTube channel where you will find over 300 videos on this subject and more. You can find out exactly why you feel the way you do and why your thoughts are the way they're reacting and the role of your psyche in all this. Plus, how to feel good again, become strong and get your confidence back and ready to move on. And more importantly, how to move on. And you will certainly be fine once you know how your mind works, dear. If you still needed to talk to me one-on-one, that's always possible through my site, mindthatseekstruth.com. There you can book a Skype consultation time for us and we can chat about what's concerning you. This is what I do with all people who need it from all around the world. There you are. All right, we have Stephen here. He says, hi, Miran. Stephen, male, 43, Los Angeles. Thank you for that. He says, just wanted to say hello. Hello, Stephen. You must be at work, aren't you? Night shift. And we have Kosar says, my problem is I can't focus my goals because all this negative and disgusting thought and false attraction, my life became hell and I'm so angry. Well, you know, people get angry or fearful about things that they don't understand. And the reason you feel this way is because you've come to a conclusion. Look, in other words, you think these thoughts are presenting you a conclusion. It's not a conclusion. It's a glitch of the brain in the signaling system. That's all. You're not going to change. Your awareness already tells you and tells me that you're not happy about these thoughts. And that's all it takes for you to know that thoughts are not you, you're not thoughts, and thoughts cannot change you. It's a glitch of the signaling system of the brain. It has to do with anxiety of what you love to protect, and the anxiety naturally causes you to be fearful of losing it. Then there is the matter of midbrain basal ganglia, striatum, caudate nucleus, which is not functioning as it's designed to function. It's supposed to shut down the intrusive thoughts. In a non-OCD brain, when a brain has an intrusive thought, the role of caudate nucleus in the striatum in midbrain basal ganglia is to shut down the intrusive thoughts. But when it doesn't, the intrusive thoughts don't dissipate and don't decimate. It doesn't go away. It's hovering. And because it's not going away, you question, Does it mean something to me about me? No, it doesn't. Because it doesn't matter what dissipates or not. It doesn't matter if caudate nucleus works fine or not. It becomes annoying, but it doesn't matter to your gender. It's not going to change your orientation just because such a thing showed up. Regardless if one is heterosexual or homosexual, these thoughts do not change your gender. These are called intrusive thoughts, subsets of OCD. So once you understand this, then there's no threat to you that you have believed there is. The intrusive thoughts, the false attraction, and all these have to do with the fact that you're a diehard heterosexual, and any thought that shows up, which is not in line with your values, scares the shit out of you because you're so into who you are, what you are, a heterosexual male. And the fear of not being what you love to be is what drives this anxiety and these thoughts to seem as they have any worth and value in your case. They don't. It's a result of a bunch of active or overactive components of the brain, and especially when they've gone haywire and they're acting in a way that they think they're protecting you by being more sensitive toward what is not in line with your values, but in fact, you don't understand that, and you think it's a signal or a suggestion or a certain kind of a change in you or a news that you didn't know, and the brain is telling you that you're not the gender that you've always known to be. These are all nonsense. So what you need to do to understand the nature of OCD, and it has no difference between sexual orientation OCD or a OCD which is a physical OCD like washing your hands. Either way, the brain believes something that is not true. For example, when you constantly think you got to wash your hands because you think your hands are dirty, well, you got to do the compulsion to feel good about it, so you go wash your hands. But really, your hands are not dirty. Why? Because even you washed it now, you want to wash it again. And 2-3 times, in 1-2 times is enough, even if your hands were outside doing some gardening or was in shit. You come and wash it a couple of times, it's done, but you don't stop there. You want to have it washed 5 times. So it's not the matter that your hands are really dirty. It's a matter that you believed the suggestion that the brain, which is the glitch of OCD, has made, that your hands are dirty. You believed that. That belief is what's fucking you up. So when it comes to pure O, as Dr. Phillipson has put it, it's his phrase that he has coined, pure O, meaning the OCD type, that the intrusive thoughts, OCD type, that doesn't have any physical compulsion, physical ritual to be performed. It's all mental. And in your mind, you go after this and you come up and try to come to a conclusion or answer the question and so on and so forth. So you need to understand that these are just simply reaction of a brain without having any consequences, real consequences to you. And it's because of believing your mind, believing. When you believe something, you don't analyze anymore. You say, I believe it. And when you don't have an answer to something, you tend to think, well, if I don't have an answer, then that's what it is. It's the fact, it's truth. No, it's not. You just don't have an answer because you can't have an answer, because there's no answer to be had. It's an OCD. It's a glitch of the signaling system of the brain, whether it's a physical OCD or pure O, which is a mental OCD. So the idea here to help yourself to heal the brain, to help the brain to come back to its default setting, is to simply not to believe the brain. That's it. Not to interpret, not to come to a conclusion. Just say, I accept that there are lots of different thoughts, but they're irrelevant to me. Because your choice and your awareness is not in line with what the brain is suggesting. Brain is a separate entity. It's not you. You're not the brain. Brain is not you. So it has its own rhythm and its own malfunctioning like any other organ that we have, and brain is also another organ. So what this brain is telling you is like somebody outside in the street tells you. How much do they know about you or your life or your preferences or your choices? Nothing. There's something out there. They say what they think or that's going on in their head. The brain is also not you. Why? Because it's simple. You've lived, species of human being has lived for millions of years, but only until 40,000 years ago that we came to have this kind of a brain. We had no ability to speak or think before 40,000 years ago. That's why there was no OCD before 40,000 years ago, because OCD is a brain manufactured thing, is a brain's brainchild, it's a brain's product. It's not anything biological, it's a thought-based. And until 40,000 years ago, we had no ability to think or speak. Words didn't exist. Words didn't have meanings. Therefore, there was no way for us to have an OCD. Because many of us are not biologically changed or truthful that our hands are dirty, but we think it is. So it's a mental thing that we now know how to help it, how to fix it. Same thing with any other type of OCD. It's a mental thing. So you want to ruin your life by believing the suggestion of the brain, that's up to you. But if you want to be the leader of your organs, just as you notice there's something wrong with your kidneys, your liver, or your knee, or your intestines, you have a diarrhea, you go to the doctor or you search and research what to do to help it, to make it all well. The same thing. You got to be kind to your brain and understand it's another organ that you got to help it, rather than take its suggestion as if suddenly a brain that has been added to you, it's not you. You didn't have it until 40,000 years ago. It was added to you, and suddenly that what was added to you and could never be in existence if there was no you. And because there is a you, this brain is added to you. Now suddenly this brain is now telling you who you are, what you are. It doesn't make sense, does it? So understand that you got to research, learn, and understand the work of scholars and help your brain to rewire itself through neuroplasticity. And that's how you'll be able to get back to your goals. And until you're able to fix all these rewiring, focus on your goals. Don't let the time pass by, because this time doesn't come back. If you keep waiting, maybe it takes a few years before you actually get a hang of it and you rewire the brain, and the brain finally it starts doing what it was always doing, which was a normal behavior for you. So until that happens, you don't want to put everything on hold. You proceed to fulfill your goals. Whatever it is you got to do to fulfill it, to prepare for your goals and to achieve your goals. That is how you deal with this, not to wait around until that's nonsense. Now we have a super chat from Stephen. Stephen, very kind of you to help the channel. And Stephen says, here's for some tea, Mira. Well, that's going to be expensive tea. But there was a store that I used to have my tea in years ago. Maybe, I don't know, let's say 20 years ago. And they were specializing in tea. And one of the teas were $10 a cup. $10 a cup. A serving. It was a small pot with 1 cup and $10. That was called, I don't know, something, Rind. That was all right. I think it was white tea. I don't remember the name of it, but so $20 is going to be very expensive tea. But thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate that. Now, Angelo Green says, hello, I have watched some of your videos and a lot of other videos about my OCD subtype. I have HOCD, otherwise known as sexual orientation OCD. And I believe I got it from watching too much porn. And all right, where's the rest of it? Is that it? All right. Now, Brett Norris says, what if you use OCD to cope with other mental health disorders like ADHD? If you compulsively think that everything OSS going wrong, then it creates a stress response which improves focus. Let me read that again. I don't quite understand. Let me see. Okay, now, where was I? So you said something about what was it? So what if you use OCD to cope with other mental health disorders like ADHD? If you compulsively think that everything OSS, but OSS, you mean objective social status? Meaning you are arrogant and you like you have an inflated sense of self-esteem, a feeling of arrogance and conceit. I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but could you elaborate for me to understand what you mean? This is going wrong. Brent says, oh, you sent me after Goose Chase. So you mean is. Everything is going wrong. Okay, now I'm going to come back to you because we have a super chat and I missed your wording, so I'll come back to you in a second. And Irmantas has sent us 10 pounds, says, hello, great to see your live stream. I wish everyone a good day. That's all? You don't have a question? Well, thank you for supporting the channel, but I thought you would ask a question because you're definitely entitled to. So Kosar says, thank you, Master. Thank you very much. You're quite welcome. Angelo Green says, I can add more. I just couldn't fit it all in one message and didn't want to send too much. All right. So let's get back to Angelo. Angelo says, I have watched some of your videos and a lot of other videos about my OCD subtype. I have HOCD, otherwise known as sexual orientation OCD, and I believe I got it from watching too much porn. Yeah, okay, but is there a question in here? And Angela says, I believe that my mind has become desensitized to regular porn that I used to watch, and it started wanting new stuff, such as homosexual stuff. And sometimes it feels like these thoughts are fantasies. You know, watching too much porn, it's giving ideas to the brain that has no intelligence. It's like putting something in front of a entity that doesn't have a brain to know what that something's limit of use or use is. So they really don't know what to do with it. So they have no intelligence as though if there is any framework for that, if there is any preference for using that, whatever it is in front of them, whether it's food or apparatus or a toy or a tool. Because brain doesn't have an intelligence. Now, in case of human beings, when you keep watching porn, no longer that's going to stimulate you as much as it did when you were not so indoctrinating the brain to lose its sensitivity. It's, it's kind of like anything else. But because brain doesn't have an intelligence to understand that if we want something more, because of the gender and gender preference and the sexual orientation of the person that this brain belongs to, it should then stay in the same frame of the sexuality instead of going outside of it. For example, not so relevant, but just to show the concept I want to say, if you like pepper, like different kind of peppers, so you start with the pepper that is not burning your mouth so much, and you like it, and then your mouth gets used to that pepper, so it doesn't give you much of a sensation. Then use a higher end pepper with more of a heat, and then more, and then more, and then more, and then you are keep asking for more heat from the pepper because you're not reacting to it anymore, desensitizing yourself. And you think because you have desensitized yourself, that pepper is no longer tasty or no longer useful or no longer enhancing your interest, and you end up going for a pepper with higher heat number. Okay, that's when you have a brain and your brain is working in the same frame, staying with pepper. But in the form of in the topic of porn, the brain doesn't have intelligence to stay within the same gender orientation that you have to want more of some sexual excitement. It associates sex to whatever it has heard from outside, whatever exists in the actual world, and then it pays attention to many different style of orientation. And so it seeks more of a sex, but instead of having the brain to stay in the same framework of preference of sexual orientation, because it doesn't have any intelligence, it goes outside, which is not your inclination, which is not your preference, which is not your values, which is not your interest. Because once you allow the brain to call the shots for you and choose your pleasure, so to speak, because it doesn't have any intelligence, it's not thinking about or calculating about anything else having to do with your values or any limitations or any preference of your lifestyle. It just comes in with whatever it can associate with concept of sex, and thinks that whatever it can associate with concept of sex will enhance the sex that you were interested in. So the brain makes suggestion, and because of OCD, you think that the suggestion of the brain is mixed with intelligence, and so you will follow it because you're now follower of the brain rather than you judge the brain's selections. Once you get to that point that you actually value the brain more than you value your awareness and your entity, which is the actual entity that it exists, because the brain was added to you. The brain is not you. You're not the brain. Brain cannot call the shots. But when you actually don't realize that the brain has got no intelligence and is calling for something that is not within your values, is asking for enhancing that sexual experience, not based on your values and your orientation, but based on what can be associated with sex, then it's going to go and introduce to you, suggest to you that what about homosexual sex while you're heterosexual? Because once that continues, the brain, again, not having intelligence, is going to suggest to you, what about animal sex? Like you fuck animal and animals fuck you. Because it associates sex with whatever is possible out there, not whatever is your preference or your limitations or your values. Because it is not considering you, it is considering the idea of making thoughts and suggestions about what is associated with the concept that you are actually seems to be enjoying it, which is in line with your values. But then it can suggest to you some other things which has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the brain's suggestion. And you not knowing that you're not the brain, brain is not you, you take the brain's value and suggestion as if it is something that you should follow because it came to your brain, because it came to your mind. And you think, if it comes to my mind, then I must have that inclination. No, you don't. Because brain doesn't have brain. The brain doesn't have intelligence to suggest what it suggests based on any logical or biological choice of yours. It's suggesting it because you seem to be into some kind of a sexual enjoyment of the porn, and you have desensitized yourself through watching a lot of it, and yet you're still calling for dopamine, because through the pleasure of porn, it gives you dopamine, and no longer it gives you dopamine if you're used to it and it's not exciting in a way of being novel, because it has been done over and over mentally, and it's not even physically. Because if it was physically, you would not deviate from it, because you would be you and the girl, and different girls, everyone differently. So it would always be some excitement, and you would be fully focused on that, what you are in line with your values. But because it's mental and there's another guy doing what you want to do with that girl, the brain thinks that it's all actors in that porn is acceptable to your values. So it makes thoughts whatever associates to sex. And you think because it has come to your mind, then it should be okay with you and you should follow it. These are all leading to false choices, false attraction, and false sense of thinking that, oh, that could work or that could be interesting. No, because once that goes to that level, then the brain doesn't know anything, and that's not intelligence, could also suggest to you, what about animal? Go fuck an animal, or animal fuck you. These are all because associated to sex, not because it's got anything to do with you. So it's your responsibility to check what the brain is saying, not that you follow what the brain is saying because just the brain said it. Brain is not intelligent, has not no intelligence, and has never been localized. Any intelligence that there has ever been localized in the brain when the neurosurgeons have examined and experienced with finding and localizing centers of this and that and so forth there. So, having said that, limit the porn and stay with your values, and that's the end of that. All right, let's go to Stephen. Stephen has supported the channel with the super chat and has a question. It says, I have a friend whom I've known for over 20 years. He got married and had a kid 15 years ago and moved out of state. I imagined him doing well with his family and found out yesterday that he was broken up. It wasn't what I imagined and don't think he's doing too well. I meet so many people my age that are divorced with broken families. I have to ask maybe a stupid question, but can I literally... Oh, that's a different, that's a red. I thought it's Stephen's continuation of question. No, okay, that's Slobodan. I'll come to you when I finish Stephen's question. Okay, Stephen, is there a question there? Stephen, is there a question in there or so what's the point? You meet so many people your age that are divorced with broken families. Well, yeah, that's the narrative of these days in the century we live in, with the values that have been pumped into people's head, that see what you can get as much as you can get, and if you can't get it with this guy or with this girl, move on and get it from somewhere else, because you're the most important thing in this life and you're supposed to be getting as many pleasures as you want. And everybody is after excitement and pleasure because that's the culture that they have promoted in North America specifically, which has now taken over the world and has been influenced other places. And that's basically, it's because they want to sell items. Businesses want to sell items. They want to promote their things. And the way they can do that is constantly make things available so people buy things. And that has created a culture for people that you don't like it, it's disposable, go buy another one. And the life meaning is pleasure. That's what they have introduced in order to sell products. Pleasure has become the purpose of living, unfortunately. So if you're not getting pleasure, you're not going to fix anything. You just want to abandon it and go and get something else to give you that pleasure. And it's really one-dimensional thinking that pleasure comes only from certain kind of a novelty rather than getting the ins and to know ins and out and have a certain plan and follow that. But the culture doesn't allow the old values to prevail. So there's really not much I can I can say unless there is some kind of a question there. Angelo says, my question is, how can my mind create such vivid thoughts and urges, and will this go away? If so, how? I think I explained in detail the whole reasons and how this thing develops that way. And what you need to do is simply stop watching the goddamn porn. If you want to watch any porn, watch, girls on girl, and that maybe satisfies some of you and brings you back focus on what it is that you really like, rather than letting the brain associate the concept of what you like to all kind of sex, which has no meaning to you and no interest in your agenda, but the brain suggests it, and you get fooled by thinking brain is you and brain is smart, and therefore you follow the brain because you think if the brain has thought it through and suggested, it must have a meaning. It doesn't. It's just brain is fucked up. That's all. All right. So let's go to Slobodan. Slobodan says, I have to ask maybe a stupid question, but can I literally die from what? Any X? Die from anxiety and panic attacks coming from HOCD? No, because nothing of it is real. Like your awareness, your existence knows that none of these danger signals are actually real. It's danger signals, and you react. Look, overactive amygdala is designed. It's designed for emotional reactions, and through that emotional signals, it tries to save you from dangers. For example, in the millions of years ago, when our ancestors were in the jungle, when there would be a sound of a twitch or break of a branch, the amygdala, having experienced what's around in that area, the dinosaurs and wild animals and so on, we're talking about a million years ago, that twitch of sound would have triggered amygdala's reaction with sending an emotional danger signal. At that point, you wouldn't be standing around and checking the accuracy and reliability of the danger signal that the amygdala sent. You're not going to watch around, look around, is there a dinosaur? No, the moment that the signal came, you start running because your survival is the most important thing. And amygdala is trying to save you by sending a danger signal for you to take the moment before the actual danger approaches you within close proximity, so you will run. So you will run regardless of if you've seen the danger or not, but you got a signal and you'll run. And you won't even look back because it's frightening that a dinosaur would show up. What are you going to do? Just eat you alive, right? So the same way you're reacting to the actual signal that the amygdala is sending, and you go through anxiety and panic attack. But remember, in the first example, after you ran about a mile or so, or whatever, 200-300 meters, you then wait and you turn around. You say, false alarm. So even though you're running, you have in your mind that I'm not sure if this danger is real, but to be safe, I'm going to run anyhow. So when you have anxiety and panic attack, it's a signal that has been sent to you that frightens you because it's not in line with your values. It's something that you find it necessary to protect yourself against. So you react with that level of fight and flight, anxiety and panic attack, just so that you make sure there's no harm comes to you. That's the overactive amygdala. But in reality, inside your values, you know that nothing's going to happen to you because you're definitely, certainly 100% know that that cannot be true because I don't choose it. I don't want it. It's a danger, but it's not something that I have asked for or would I ever ask for. It's just a suggestion that the brain has made, and that freaks the hell out of him because it's not in line with my values. Therefore, I freak. I freak because that's my nature, to freak for something that is dangerous to me or not in line with my value, not my choice. And it's so important to me. So I react as if there is a dinosaur running after me. So I start running. Instead of running, I panic. But when the time passes, the panic goes away because nothing happens. I panicked, but I noticed there's no dick up my ass. I notice I'm sucking no dick. So suddenly the panic goes away. And the next day, you remember next time when you're panicking, but you know that it's not real, but you're reacting anyhow, just like the amygdala said, oh, there's a dinosaur coming. So you run anyhow, but you know there's a good chance that it's not a dinosaur, but you run anyhow, just to make sure. So you panic anyhow, because you think panicking puts you on a defense mode and gets you out of the danger, even though panic is not necessarily making you run. But if you're outside or you're sitting, you feel like getting up and walking. That's like you're trying to run because it has created that anxiety. But you're damn sure that pretty much there's no danger here. But I'm just reacting to a idea of danger. And it's so important to me that even I react to an idea of danger. Just like you would run if there was a real dinosaur there, you would also run if there was an idea or belief that there's a dinosaur there, which the amygdala sends you the signal, and you run anyhow, just to make sure, even though there's a great chance that there's no dinosaur. Yeah. So the same thing, just as the message comes to you of some kind of intrusive thought they just mentioned, you would react the same exact way as if there was a dick across the hall that is coming after you. You react the same. You start running or you start panicking. What the fuck? You start getting, because that's not your orientation. For the one who has that orientation would say, great. Hello, cookie. So to each his own. And we're not here judging anybody's sexual orientation. But in your case, that you're a heterosexual male, this is what's happening. And you're reacting as you would react because you want to save your values and protect what is most important to you versus what the brain is suggesting in the way of intrusive thoughts. So you will not die from it. You just get excited, but there is no reason for that because ultimately you know that it's a false alarm, but you're just running anyhow. You're panicking anyhow. So that's why I taught you how to do double breath to get the anxiety and panic away for that moment. Whenever you feel that way, I know you forget it, but this is how you do it. You breathe in, and then you breathe another one on top of it before you exhale. And then you hold a few seconds, and then you let it out, and you breathe normally, and then you do it again, just like this. and you calm down. This is like the shock, electric shock that psychotherapists give to a patient who's gone a little bit out of control. And this acts like that electric shock, but you can do it anytime you want, at any moment, for any reason, just because you have anxiety or panic attack. All right. All right. Steven says, no question. I was just surprised to hear this and feel like so many people are divorced. Yeah, it happens, you know. And Steven says, that's true. It's true. Feel like that's how most people out there are these days. Yeah, you know, it takes two to tango. You never know. One of them may not want to get divorced and the other one causes it, or for whatever reason, or sometimes both of them want. Just unfortunate. The values are changed. Look at where the country was going in the United States. I mean, it was pretty much going to hell. There was no values anymore. Anybody's anything, you identify with this or identify with that, anything goes. And there was no structure anymore. And human being respects discipline and structure. If there is no structure in anyone's life, nothing can really take shape. Any shape. What do you think? They can build a building, high rise, that so many floors as we have in New York and other places. If there was no structure, no plan, no rules for it, no certain standards of conduct, mathematics would have to be right for this thing to go up. And now, so mishmash or wishy-washy or creating things just so to make, everything to be for everybody without any consideration of is it beneficial to the society or not, all values of all kinds, and to interject the real wholesome values that holds a family together and bring other values that actually doesn't hold the family together. It entices one versus the other one to let go of the responsibilities and what it was planned and go outside of the plan and structure of holding a family together and expect the family to stay together. It won't. If you're building a high rise and you don't really weld the joints of these, structure inside before you put all the outside work, all the stones and bricks and making the place look good, if you don't really have that frame properly done with proper measurements and strong adhesives or welding and connections, it won't hold. Doesn't matter how pretty you're going to make the outside. Same thing, relationships cannot simply hold when you introduce so many things that has no history of value that has ever made anything stick, just because you want everybody to be happy, regardless of their happiness is going to infringe on the majority of what works and destroy all what works as well. Well, the society will not last. I mean, I'm really amazed how things went so haywire within a short 4 years of the last presidency. All values changed, everything was everything, and everything was mishmashed. And look at our country in Canada. We have a prime minister that brought everybody against each other, introduced everything in a mishmash, and children start being confused in the school at the early age and all that. So there is no structure, then there would be no stability, no foundation, no stability. So that's what we're facing with. And Angela Green says, okay, that answered a lot of my concerns. I will think about what you said and come back to ask you some other questions. I appreciate the feedback. We'll be back soon. All right. And Nico Metucci says, I get divorced to what I can do. What? I get divorced to what I can do. Oh, let's see. Here's another one up there. There's Nico up here. He says, good morning, Mera. Good morning, Nico. This is from France. Male 45. Bonjour. It must be morning there, right? Oh, comment ça va aujourd'hui? Says male 45. I hear you for years. I like to listen to you. You help me. You help her or you. You help her too many people. You help here too many people. Thanks so much. You're quite welcome. My pleasure, Nico. Thank you for joining us from France. Now, where in France are you, Nico? And Nico says, I get divorced to what I can do. I have 2 children, and she told me that she doesn't love me anymore. What I can do is life is just let her go. To block the family nobody wanted, but sometimes you can do nothing. And Nico says, Maron, I have 3 years I give divorce. 3 years ago you've been divorced. Since 3 years ago you've been divorced. You divorced 3 years ago. And I smoke like crazy. Can you please tell me something about stop smoking? I don't feel good every morning and smoking kill me. Thanks. I tried many times to stop smoking, but I cannot. And the main reason that you don't stop smoking is because you said you cannot. When you say you cannot, the brain tries to find a way to fulfill and prove your narrative. Despite the fact that people think brain leads you, in fact, brain is listening to you and it's your servant. And brain is motivated and directed by you. When you put a thought, an idea from your awareness, your judgment, into the brain, like you say, I cannot, the brain will find ways that you won't be able to quit smoking. And you need to understand, what is it that doesn't let you stop? It's not that you don't understand brain can cause damage. It's not that you cannot understand brain is not good for your lungs. You understand all that because you just told me, I don't feel good in the morning and all that, so forth. So you do understand that. But why is it that you can't stop smoking? Well, let's discuss that. Let's talk about the 3 circles in midbrain basal ganglia in the striatum. There are 3 circles there. One is goal finding center. Goal finding center. The other one is reward center. So goal finding center is like you have let's say an OCD or a habit, a obsession. And at this point in your experience with smoking, you have an obsession with smoking. You feel like you got to smoke. Now, even though it's chemically now addiction, but let's say it's just something that you do because you feel like you have to do that. You have a need, whether it's biological, whether it's chemical, or whether it's OCD, obsession, you feel the need to do it. So you do the compulsion, which is smoking. You feel desire to smoke, you do the smoke. So what happens? At this stage, when you do the compulsion, smoking, you go what? Even though you do this because the chemical that you're addicted to has fulfilled the measured need that your body, your bloodstream is seeking, that nicotine, that drug. And once you give it to it, it says, ah. What is that? Let's translate it. That ah is a reaction to what the second center is causing you to do, which is reward center. Because you did the compulsion to the need for smoking, the second center, reward center, is secreting dopamine. Now a pleasure. Now you get another puff. Another dopamine. So every time that you puff, second center, reward center, gives you dopamine. So after a while, the reason you do the compulsion, smoking, for the desire for smoking, the obsession, is no longer just the compulsion for the obsession. It's also because you want the dopamine, you want the pleasure. So you're doing it for two reasons now. And after a while, that every time you do that dopamine, no longer you remember that you're doing a compulsion, smoking cigarette, because you wanted to smoke. You're now doing it just thinking about that, the dopamine. Now, lo and behold, every time that you smoke, the compulsion for the obsession, you were not just stimulating the reward center for dopamine, you were also, without noticing, stimulating the third center, which is the habit center. So after a while, smoking and you're now smoking because to get the dopamine. But after 1,000 times doing it, or many times doing it, hundreds of times doing it, it's now becoming your habit. No longer you're doing it for the compulsion, desire for smoking. No longer you're doing it to get the dopamine, although you feel both of them, both pleasures and the needs. But you're doing it because it's your habit. You don't even remember you're doing it. You just know that you got to do it. You have no reason for it anymore. It's your habit. Now, Dr. Schwartz explains the experiment that a gentleman went to a cigarette shop and asked for a cigarette package, paid for it, opened the cellophane wrap, tore up the part of the package that the cigarettes are in there, reached one out, pulled it out, put it on his lips, flicked the lighter, get it 2-3 inches away from his face, which is unusual for us to get fire to our face, but he got that and lit up the cigarette, start smoking. And if somebody goes on and says, sir, do you recall they just went to the store, asked for a cigarette, got a package of cigarette, paid for it, and opened this up and tear it apart, put one out and flicked it open, fire in front of your lips? He says, no, I just know that I'm smoking. And this comes from the study of Professor Anne Grable from MIT, who's pioneered the research on a cluster of movements, cluster of actions to the brain represents only one action. That's why all these things, go to the store, buy it, pay for it, open it, put it in here, and then flick it, to the brain, even though there's like 10 actions, to the brain, it seems one action, one movement, one thing to do. That's why after it becomes your habit, you don't recognize that this is your habit. You just know you got to do it. You have no reason for it. And all that to you is just one action. I'm smoking a cigarette. It's your habit. Once it gets to that point, the way now, because now it's your habit, obviously it must be your habit because it's been long enough. The way to beat it, there is a place in the brain that is designed to get the habit out of whack. Like what you become your habit, if you focus on any reason, logical reason for you to kick that habit, it's not easy. But if you focus on this particular reasoning, which is your survival, your health, then it becomes easy to kick the habit because you're now relying on the part of the brain that is focused on saving your life and making what is really important to your survival and health important to you. Once you focus on that, then it would be easier to wean it off because now you're focused on that what makes me enjoy all these things, which is my survival. Being here is more important than any one single pleasure that I may be enjoying it, if that pleasure is causing me no longer to be here to enjoy the pleasure. So your focus must go toward the effects of this on your health and the damaging that it does to your ability to enjoy what you love in this life, which is included the fucking smoking. Because if you're not here, not even you won't enjoy the smoking, you won't enjoy anything else that there's so many things that you love to do. So this fucking thing is robbing you out of every other things that you love. You know? Yeah, you can think of many things that you like. Yeah? What do you like in France? Croque monsieur, croque madame in the street, or have tea, or entrecôte, or what is it that you like? There are all kinds of things that you love in this life, not just eating stuff, but lots of other things that you like to do, spending time with your children. Are you willing to sacrifice that enjoyment and their needs for you and their enjoyment to have their papa around just to give that fucking pleasure of putting poison into your system, which is not going to help you or help your children or help enjoy other things better or the things that you love to get up in the morning for? When you focus on that, you will see that your life is in jeopardy because of this habit and cigarette. So you're helping some fucking manufacturer of this poison to arrive to their goals and enjoy their life in luxury to the cost of your lungs and your life. That's not an amicable trade. So you got to focus on the effect of it on your health to be able to kick this a little bit stronger and have a better chance. And of course, there are other mechanisms that you can choose, but that's what I can just say at this point. And Slobodan, it's not a matter of how long it takes, because there's no certain time. As long as you rewire your brain, eventually it becomes your default setting again. So Could be very quick, could be a little longer, but doesn't matter how long. You got to keep doing what actually is the right thing to do for you to rewire the brain. Whatever the process of Dr. Schwartz has mentioned, or is it ERP that you do, or whatever it is, you got to continue it until you get the results. And Stephen says, good night, Mehran. It was nice hearing from you. My pleasure, and thank you again for supporting the channel, for the super chat, and hope you have a wonderful evening. It's not about the month, Slobodan. It's about you continue as long as it takes. When you understand this thing is not threat to you, it's just what I explained it is, then you wouldn't care how long it takes. But you're looking for a conclusion. And as long as it hasn't stopped, then that is some questionable. No, there's no question. It's just fucked up brain. And you just got to learn how to help it every time. Doesn't matter when. It could go away and then come back for intrusive thought. Then you got to deal with it the same way. So it doesn't matter if it's, I have to be sure it will never come back. No, it could come back, but it doesn't matter. It's like diarrhea. You may fix it, and then it could be diarrhea 2 weeks from now. Then you fix that, and then it could be, I don't know, cold. You get a cold, and you rest, and you get that, and then you say, "Oh, am I good because the cold forever not going to come back?" Come back, maybe. How many times we get to catch a cold, but we don't question it. Oh my goodness, that means I'm going to be having cold. No, every time it comes back, you deal with it. That's life. So don't look for a conclusion. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 41 minutes. My goodness, that's pretty long. It's time for me to make some tea and make some tea and watch some movies and chill and so on. Brett Norris says, my OCD manifest as assuming that everyone has contempt for me and that no matter what I do, they will have even more contempt for me. This helps me anticipate rejection, and then I can relax. All right. But what you're telling me is like this. Let me read the rest of it. It says, relax and be myself. It seems to help me function and improve my interaction with others. It seems like I become more humble. I'm not sure, though. I think it just might be OCD. If I don't do this, I get fear. Yeah. You really dislike being rejected. So you expect rejection so you won't be bothered when you're rejected. It's like saying, I'm so afraid of falling from a cliff that I'm just going to go and jump off the cliff. Is that what you want? So because I'm afraid to fall off the cliff, so I'm just going to jump off the cliff so I won't be afraid anymore. What the fuck is that? If you're afraid of falling, don't go so near to the edge. You don't have to be rejected. And then change it and say, I'm just going to ask this girl out or be friends with this person. And if they have any brain in their heads, they like a gentleman like me, a positive person like me. And if they don't, okay, they're not the last person on earth. I'll go next one. It's like saying, I'm not going to go shopping here because they might not have what I'm looking for. So I'm just not going to go in. Or I expect them not to have it. And when I go in there and they say, no, we don't have that jacket that you're looking for, I say, oh, good, they don't have it. What the fuck? You just say, okay, I'm going to go in there and look for what I'm looking for. And if they don't have it, fuck it, I'm going to go to another store. That should be your attitude. Not like, I accept that they're going to be rejecting you. Who gives a shit? Who the fuck are they to reject you? If they don't like it, they have the right not to want you. and you have the right to go to another store. So what? Same thing with anything else. You don't have to expect rejection because you think everybody has, has contempt for you. Why would you think that way? Fuck them. If you're a nice person, a good person, don't bother anybody, and if they have contempt for you, fuck them. Who gives a shit? It's like, again, go to a store. They don't have what you're looking for, go to another store. But don't say, oh, stores don't like me. No, they just don't happen to have what you're looking for or your size. So you go to another store, another store, another store, and you'll find your size. That's it. Well, you don't have to accept that no stores have my size. No stores have what I'm looking for. Why? Why would you think that way? Don't. All right. I've answered all the questions, and thank you for the people who helped us with Super Chat. And Irmantas from UK, and Stephen from Los Angeles. Now, it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here and giving the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to our next live stream. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com is making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon. But we too, like the iceberg, have 1,000 times bigger powers that is not visible, and we must. Why? Is it something we're rambling on and I expect you to accept it? Or is there actually another power within us? Would you come and help me out? Okay. What I want you to do is put your hands underneath my arms and just lift me up. There we go. Okay, now, that's my physical part, right? Same thing. Again, with that. Just want to see if there's any difference. Go ahead. Now, go ahead. Now, this, go ahead, when you're ready.
Go ahead.
So you see, this is different than what he was doing, and I'm not really doing anything. You convinced?
Yeah.
So are you guys convinced that there is something other than, thank you. Thank you very much.